Now, according to Celia Collins, Deputy Group MD at SMG, research within the African media environment is crucial to inform multinational clients of the potential return on their media investments. She adds that without this research, we're not able to build and grow the media industry in Africa. She joins me now in studio for a look at this particular landscape. Celia, thank you so much for making the time to join us. Let's start off with the broad trends for media investment across the continent.
We're seeing a big growth within Africa, especially within the hubs. So within Nigeria, within Kenya, and within Angola. It's where the products are going in, and it's, if you have a look at the population and the population growth, that's where people are heading and where the money and the investment is going.
Let's look at the population a little bit deeply. I mean, understanding that the demographics of the continent are shifting quite rapidly with the bulging young population. What opportunities does this throw up for media investment?
Well, if you have a look at it, when people market products, you try and get people to hook onto products when they're in their youth, to grow through, to create the love and pull the products through the brand. If you have a look at Europe, they've got an aging population. Africa doesn't have that. They've got a young, vibrant population. So the brands on multinationals are looking at investing in Africa, which is the opportunity. So from the investment in Nigeria, where you've got millions and millions of people buying, purchasing, gaining their upper and their education into the next level of their life, it's just a growth pattern happening, which goes west and east.
Of course, one of the rather prevalent stories that we have in Africa is this high mobile penetration. Is media consumption moving along the same line, moving from traditional television screens to consuming media on the handset?
Most definitely. So if you have a look at it, about 70% penetration on mobile. We've almost skipped going online on a laptop. We've gone straight to mobile. Internet penetration is still quite low at about 16 to 18% on the African continent, where if you have a look at the rest of the world, that's sitting at about 35%. But we are multi-screening, so not only are we watching TV on our mobile phones now, especially in Africa, we're also listening to radio stations. So we know in Africa, radio stations have the biggest penetration. Now it's been listened to on the mobile.
Right. Of course, you mentioned internet penetration, and according to this report, I see that we're sitting at about a 20% average penetration, which is significantly lower than the other platforms. Is this because we just are not winning on the infrastructure front?
No, I think the infrastructure is coming. If you have a look at all of the broadband cables coming into Africa, the infrastructure is there. It's just got to be released. As soon as some of the broadband comes on, we're going to see data costs drop. So it's going to become more accessible by the younger population and by the lower income segment population.
Are you expecting that to have an impact on the broader trend of handsets, though, when people do have cheap access to internet? Do you think they're going to revert back to going online as against using their cell phones, or are we going to see a convergence of the two?
I think we're going to see a convergence of the two. I mean, we already see people accessing more and more internet online. You have a look at the penetration of Facebook within the African continent. About 74 million users on Facebook. You have a look at Twitter, it's growing 3-1 to Facebook. Yes, they've only got about 17,000 followers, but that is growing. You have a look at cell phones and smartphones are selling out over laptops 4-1 on the African continent. So as we see smartphones coming in, more and more we're going to see people accessing the internet and the data costs going down. So it is going to become accessible by the lower segments and the upper segments.
For me, one of the stats that really blew me away from this report is looking at some of the countries and the number of radio stations that they have. 99 stations in Ghana, and I understand almost 200 in Nigeria, and this compares with 76 in South Africa. What's driving such a big demand for radio in other parts of the continent?
So we're seeing a lot of religious stations come up. We're seeing a lot of community stations come up, and a lot of university stations come up. And they are trying to target the people on their cell phones. So we're seeing the fragmentation come up because there are more and more youth people listening to radio. So there's more content required. And the more content, the more listeners, more cell phone users.
What's the future for television? And I'm not asking this out of a fear for my own job, but you know, it seems as if there's a trend for mobility, and with radio it doesn't matter where you are. You know, the radio is on wherever you are, and it seems as if the TV set is somewhat getting left behind.
Not at all. The TV set, I don't believe, is getting left behind. If you have a look, people are consuming television within their own environment and when they want to. So it's not a matter of watching a program at a specific time. They will record it on a PVR or on a DTT set decoder. They can also watch it on their laptops,
Right.
on their tablets.
So again, we're seeing convergence.
It's what we call multi-screening. So not only are they watching TV on TV now, they're watching it on their tablets, they're watching it on their phones, and they're consuming it in their own time. It's not an appointment anymore.